All right. So, welcome everyone. I'm Shalish, your host today, and we have got some amazing panel of people. But the most amazing people we have got for these creatives that we are going to talk about. This today's topic is going to be very, very exciting for not just for me, but for everyone who are creative, everyone who wants to pursue their dreams in the creative world. And so our topics and the discussion topics today is going to be absolutely three key things that we would like to focus on is how to create your own opportunities and how to find ways of not fearing of rejections, and
Wow.
also how to dream big and make your dreams come true with the right tips and tricks to help you get there. So, and to do that all, we have got today from US, San Diego, Andrea Scholes, who is also an entrepreneur and who is a networks owns a company called Network Smart, which also the name resembles is networking and how to create your own branding. So, absolutely delighted, Andrea Schultz, to invite you to my event over here, organized by my charitable trust, Autu Rua Academy, and in collaboration with the NZ World News Media Channel, we both are bringing you together to talk about and give some of the creative people who are existing in this universe to make their dream comes true, to pursue their dreams. And we have you today going to asking you a few things, but I would like to more throw on what your views and what your way of and how you were amazing when you were just a little 8-year old, and I was going through
Yeah.
your bio and I thought, oh my gosh, you were dreaming of becoming a CEO of Disney. And
Mm-hmm.
for the first time, I thought, okay, does 8-year old know what is Disney? That was my question in my head. But here you
That's funny.
are. But here you are, like dreaming of that, which was amazing. And when I going through that, it was really good to see. And you have went through that journey, and then you pursued that journey, and
Mhm.
today you are a big part of many things of Disney and American Funniest Videos. You were part of that as well. So you have been doing, but I one of the things that I liked about that your whole thing was how you were trying to help the millennials to get into the
Right.
entertainment industry, and that is
Mm-hmm.
something was empowering for me to get you in connection with you and say that, oh, we are all wants to get into entertainment industry, but the key thing is
Yeah.
how do we do that, and that's the key. And here we are today live speaking with Andrea, who has made her dreams come true. So I am excited and delighted to invite you on this show. And with that, I would like also to give you a little bit of this how this show is going to go forward. So we are going to talk about these three topics: creating own opportunities, ways of not fearing of rejection, and dreaming big and making your dreams come true with right tips and tricks to help you get there. And to support also to that, and also we have got another live example here from New Zealand. We have got our own lovely, very lovable Walter Nealens, who has been a star for kids, and I really welcome Walter as well in the show. I can tell, I can put my hand on my heart and say that my kids grew up looking at Walters. So I don't have absolutely delight to come on this show and invite him to be with you and give his insights as well. So we can, at the end of the day, my goal is to help the creatives and make sure we give the best of the world for these creatives. So
Mhm.
I invite Walter Nealens as well, who also is an entrepreneur, owns a screen grab company just like you, a network smart. He is screen grab. So all entertaining, all entertainment. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be live. Let's start the show. Andrea Skulls, I would like you once again. It's a great pleasure and honor to invite you because you are not just pursuing path to Hollywood. You have not just did that, but you are empowering even today with your amazing. But also a little bit of things I would like to also add to that, and if I may, with your permission, is you are not just the creative, but you are also a keynote speaker at the UN for
That's right.
Arts that you did, which is amazing. But also a best-selling author of the with other 50 other women. And
Mhm.
but most importantly, I liked about you that you are an advocate in helping creatives understand their brands and to create their network more effectively so that they could land their dream career or dream job, we can call it. And that's something is empowering. So you are also working closely with the uh, various foundations and various things that you have been doing, empowering them, and you are shifting the mindset of the creators. This is what I would like to uncover more from this show, how you are doing that and how you are able to do that. So let's start the show. Over to Andrea. We have got some lovely audience over here. It is live, so people will be asking questions. Please feel free to ask
Absolutely.
questions and give us your feedback. And if you have even slightest of doubt or even silliest of doubt that you think, how should I ask? Who should I ask? So here is an opportunity. Here is a chance to talk to Andrea, talk to Walters, and uncover your demons of fear. Let's do
Mhm.
this. All right, Andrea, over to you, Andrea. Tell us something about how you, as a little girl, 8-year-old, dreamt of becoming a Disney CEO. What really was triggered you? What was the starting point of yours?
Definitely. Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be on here with you guys. It's always an honor to speak to a new audience that's just hungry for education and learning and creating their own opportunities. So thank you again, Shalish, for everything that you've done so far. So I just want to say that first. But to answer your question, I have always been a very passionate person. I've never been afraid of just claiming who I wanted to be ever since I was a little girl, as much as I can remember. But my curiosity actually really began when I started. Okay, so like my mom and dad didn't allow me to watch cable
Hmm.
growing up.
Hmm.
So I wasn't even allowed to watch the Disney Channel. I wasn't allowed
Oh
to
my
watch
God.
Nickelodeon. And so,
Uh-huh.
as you can imagine, my curiosity, started like coming out of the woodworks when I would go to my aunt's house and my cousins would be watching Disney Channel. And so I just got
Hmm.
mesmerized by the TV. I was just like, oh my gosh, what is this show? I just want to know everything about it, right?
Hmm.
So as I kind of, spent many nights with my cousins, I started
Yeah.
talking about this with my mom and dad. So they, of course, got really upset. and and so like as that kind of like developed, my mom was like, all right, we can't hide this from her anymore. Like, let's just let her watch this. So some of my favorite shows growing up was like Lizzie McGuire, That's So
Hmm.
Raven. I
Hmm.
loved America's Funniest Home Videos. That was another great show that I would watch on ABC. And I asked my mom, I said, Mom, I don't want to be an actress.
Hmm.
Something more, but what is there? And so kind of looked at me and she said, you don't want to be an actress? Like most kids your age want to be an actress, right? And she said, well, why don't you go research?
Hmm.
So my mom actually put me to research what other types there were in the industry and research. And I'm 8 years old. So I'm like, Mom, what's a CEO? I don't understand what that means. And she just really developed that definition for me and really felt that I could make a change. And with that, that's how my passion really developed with that. And I just proclaimed it to the universe. And I said, I'm going to be the next CEO of Disney, and no one's going to tell me otherwise. And from there, at age 10, I actually
Hmm.
acquired my first mentor in the entertainment industry. Her name was Constance Ramos from Extreme Makeover Home Edition. It was an ABC special a long time ago. So you kids probably wouldn't know what that is now, but you guys can look it up. It's actually a really fun show. But I saw her at church. So she used to go to my church. And I remember just being so mesmerized by how beautiful she was. And I went up to her and I said, hey, I want to be the next CEO of Disney. Will you help me? And she kind of just looked at me and she kind of
Wow.
laughed. She's like, okay, you're like 10, like come back to me in 2 years. So I did.
Brilliant.
I actually put together a list of people that I wanted to emulate. And on that list, I had people like Oprah. And then I backtracked, like I did reverse engineering. It's a thing where you kind of see how did somebody get to where they are today, right? So that's why this is important, because that is part
Yes.
of your journey, is you have to really understand who you
Right.
are, right? And who you want to become. So as I kind of did all of that, I came with all of this list and I went back to her at age 12 and I said the same thing. I said, I really want to be the next CEO. Will you mentor me? And she goes, okay, you're ready. I'm ready to take you under my wing. So that's kind of how that experience happened for me. And from there, so many different doors started to open. I built elephant skin, or in other words, tough skin in the industry, which I think is very important for a lot of our youth to really understand what tough skin really entails, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that, you know, they love to dangle the carrot. And what that means is they get you excited about the idea of things, but they don't really explain what that means for you. And so it's very important that you don't just get fed these, you know, exciting things, but be certain of who you are and know where you draw your line with your morals and values. So I'll kind of just leave it there, and then you can ask me
But
anything else you'd like.
but did you think that what is entertainment industry or what is Disney? What really relate to? And how did you wanted to become an entertainer? And was it really entertaining for your home, in your home, with your people, with your family? Were you an entertainer sort of person? I
Oh
wanted to
yeah.
just
Oh, oh my
so
gosh. If you
what
knew me as a little girl, I've
yes.
always had the entrepreneurial spirit. I was that kid that literally would go door to door, and
Uh-huh.
I would have like a sign up sheet for summer camps with, you
Right.
know, and I'd be like, hey, you want to get rid of your kid for a couple minutes? Sure. All right. Well, sign them up for this typing class. Like, so I was constantly creating business all the time. I was always making funny videos at home. I was a little
Oh, right.
bossy here or there with my
Yeah,
cousins. I
yeah.
mean, they still remember me as, you know, the cousin that would
Yes.
never let us sleep. but I mean, I always had that desire to really just
And
be more than just an actor.
obviously, entertainment industry is all about fun, excitement, enjoyment, but also entertaining people,
Yeah.
making smile people all the time, having fun
Yes.
all the time. So I guess like that's probably what's your nature is. Well, that's what who you are. And since
Yeah.
your age that you started dreaming of that. So I that's
Right.
awesome. So I wanted to ask you in terms of like your journey. It's
Mhm.
quite amazing to see, and you have come through this far. But in the recent times, as you know, everything for the creatives has gone a little bit standstill since the pandemic or since the COVID-19, whatever we call it.
Mhm.
What do you think that the creatives should be resilient of, should be really bold enough and confident enough to not give up? That's one of the major setback for many creatives at the moment, and for you as well. Just take through us your journey currently at this moment, and how do you really cope with this kind of whole thing?
Yeah, I get asked this question all the time. So this is actually one of my favorite questions to answer. This is actually the perfect time to create your own opportunity. A lot
Right.
of people think, oh no, it's this pandemic, it's going to stop me. I'm not
Mm,
able to have opportunity. But no, it's actually quite the opposite. I have a lot of my students and my clients actually are getting acting gigs from home. You know, so it is possible. It's not impossible. And I want to take that word out of people's vocabulary of, you know, thinking that things are impossible, because they're not. So what you really have to do, like I said from the beginning, is just really identifying what your passions are and understanding what your foundational piece is. Because what happens is a lot of actors or just people in general, this will happen all the time. I'll ask them, so what do you want to be? And a lot of the time, a lot of people answer saying, I want to be an actress, but oh wait, I also want to be a chef. Oh, but I'm also a really good producer. Oh wait, I also like music as well, right? So what happens is there's this thing that one of my mentors at age 21, when I was on set of Disney Channel, it was called the show was called I Didn't Do It. It was a pilot. And my mentor at that time, his name was Keith Richmond. He was one of the producers for Full House. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with that show, but he sat me down and he goes, Andrea, what type of producer do you want to be? I know you want to be the next CEO, but right now in your current present moment, you want to be a producer. So I looked at him and I said, well, I don't know. What do you mean? And he goes, well, do you know what type of producers there are? And I said, not really. And he goes, okay, well, there's executive producer, associate producer, coordinating producer, right? He goes down the whole list. And then I said, oh, gosh, I don't know. And he goes, all right, I'm going to tell you something that my dad told me. And he turns to me and he goes, if you do not proclaim who you are and who you want to become in this industry, no one will take you seriously. So that was one of the most impactful moments of my life at 21, to be told something like that.
Yes. So trying to identify yourself first before you get out in the public, and everywhere.
Yes.
To proclaim that you are what you want to become. So that's really
Correct.
powerful. And that's really empowering, because that's what I think kids or the people lack, because they're too much dependent on others to tell them, rather than having on their own journey and thinking that what they are powerful or what they are good at. You know, nobody knows what they are good at. When people tell them they are good at, then they understand they are good at. But first and foremost, they should understand inside from their own journey what they are good at. And that's really empowering. Yeah, cool. So in terms of like your journey, and so what should I say to you? You are a producer, you're a actor, you're a writer, you're an author, you are what exactly you enjoy the most, Andrea, in your
I would have to say I am most passionate about helping people determine their brands so they can own their power in the entertainment industry. That is the number one thing that I want to be known for, because I believe that a lot of us sometimes we give our power away too easily in the things that we want to do in life, because of what we're afraid of what people will say, or the opportunities that we may lose by saying no to those opportunities. And that's not always the truth, right? So I always try to encourage kids to remember that don't be afraid, to claim, to be, proclaim who you want to be, and allowing somebody else to dictate who you should become, because that's not how life really works. And it's what society deems as, correct, but that's not always necessarily true.
Right. No, that's cool. So in terms of like, let's see what you have to say for the kids at any age, and kids who want to become in the entertainment industry, which is creative industry, but also other than entertainment, there are lots of other creative aspects, right? It's not necessarily only creative is only entertainment, but creatives can be off the entertainment list as well.
Absolutely.
Which could be still. So how do you, is that the formula that you wanted to become, but is that the formula that you have or in your mind that, okay, creatives are creatives, and anything that is creating is a creative? So how do you deal with this for the kids? What's the message that you want to give to the kids, for all creatives, all types of creatives, really?
I think the most beautiful thing that people can really understand is we all have that fire to, and desire, actually, I guess you could say fire and desire to make anything come into fruition. That's the beauty about life, is that
Right.
we have that capability and no one can tell us otherwise. And I think that if we went with more certainty, then we wouldn't be so afraid of what a lot of people, consider the norm, right? Because I think the thing is that a lot of our society nowadays consider success as something that, in the eyes of some people, yeah, it might be success for them. But if we ourselves accept and know that what we have already accomplished in life is success, that's all that matters by the end of the day, right? So I think that that's important, that young creatives in all areas of life, realize that within themselves. And also remembering that in real life, here's the thing. In real life, a lot of creatives forget to think like entrepreneurs. So those of you guys that are really trying to go out there and create your own opportunity, I have always said to my students and my clients that you have to really be ready to understand what it takes to believe in yourself, because by the end of the day, you're the product. So if you don't believe in the product, how can the product be sold? It can't. So like that's very important for a lot of kids to realize, that they have that power to believe in it. It's just a matter of giving yourself some self-love and self-care, which I think we should be spreading more of that awareness to the next generation.
Yeah. I want to ask you this question, and then I will go to Walters as well. I wanted to ask you one, before I go to Walters, one question, that how do you, since you have been like a networking, creatives they are creatives. They are not marketers. They are not brand makers. They are not like, they don't know how the sales work. They don't know how the business works. They don't know how the networking works. But you have uncovered those things in your journey, and you have become a network smart kind of person, where your creativity comes into play, but how to your creativity market it, how to network it, and how to smartly, effectively do it, so that you actually form that dreams that you are looking for. How did you came from completely creativity to the networking marketing side of it as well, which is awesome. And this is what I want the creatives of today, and kids who are, and youth who are very creative, but they don't know how to market themselves. They don't know what's the product. Like you said, you are a product of your own, and then you want to make it empowering. So how do you do that? What will be your message? To the kids.
To start off, I mean, because it's very complex. People think networking's so easy, but it really, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of skill. But
Absolutely.
the one tool that I can give you guys to remember is that when you are networking, not everything's about you. Okay, because a lot of people, when they network, they talk about themselves. And that's the only thing that they talk about. And unfortunately, it's not something that we're, as humans, inclined to really listen to, unless there's value or something that I can take away, right? So that's something to keep in mind. That's just one very small snippet to it, of course, but it's a good foundation to really understand, because if you can get that concept right, a lot of things will come a lot easier as you learn these different concepts. And that's where my class comes in handy, because I have so many different methodologies that my students use, and they've connected with people, like Del Toro, from the director of Shape of Water. Little things like that really make a huge difference. But yeah, I hope that that can help kind of build, the excitement of what networking is, because it really is another job. It is a job. And people don't take it as a job. They think, oh, I just connected with this person and I'm good now. But
Yeah.
no, it's a lot more complex than that. But yeah,
Yes.
I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it did. It did. So let me just go back to Walters now, jump to Walters, and then I need to talk to you a little bit more about how some of the things that are really important and vital for the kids. So welcome, Walters. Kia ora. I should say kia ora. So Andrea, we say kia ora, which is welcome and hello to people in New Zealand. And so that's something that we would like to do as well. So welcome to Walters. Well, Walters is not a new name, and he is already a name in New Zealand. And it's good to be having him on this show, because he has also gone through a journey of, like you, Andrea, where coming from nothing, nowhere, and then creating his own. And today, it was so funny. I wanted to just acknowledge this fact of Walters that, I didn't know, Andrea, that you were also a good in marketing and network and smart. But then when I knew that, and when Walters is now actually doing what is networking, marketing, social media, apart from all the TV production that he used to do, and he's still doing. He's still a MC, host, presenter. But one of the major cause that I connected is he's also an ambassador for Kids Kidney. So this is where he is making a huge difference to those kids, so who improve the quality of, life for youth that have kidney disease. So that's a charitable trust, and that's where he's an ambassador. So it's really good to see that creatives and then entrepreneur coming and then joining hands with these needs that we are in the society and making a huge difference to those people. So I really admire for that, Walters. So welcome, Walters, and thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for you to say yes to me and to come on this show at a very short notice. And I really appreciate that. He was all up day, busy, and then he took his time, and then he said, now I'll be there. I'll try my best to be there by 5. And so anyway, it was God awesome.
Thank you, Shailesh. No, really, thank you so much. And thank you, Andrea. But yeah, thank you, Shailesh, because I can see that you're a real action taker. And so I'm very attracted to joining forces with you. And I think that's something that for the creatives watching should take on board, is that if you are a person that makes moves, people will start to really remember you and have faith in you and your abilities. And they'll go, wow, this person's serious about it. Just like what you were saying, Andrea, I love what you said about how you claim what it is that who you are and who you want to be. I was taking lots of notes about what you were saying, Andrea. So that was really cool. And
thank you.
So no, it's great. And it's so cool to be connected, because people are attracted to people that have an energy about them and a momentum. And it's really hard at the start to get some momentum going, because you literally have nothing. And it takes a lot of effort to believe in yourself. It's really hard, especially if you look around and you don't see your dreams in the physical world. And so you go, and they're only in here. So it's really hard if you don't see that evidence. But I like what you said, Andrea, about sort of like knowing who you are inside, and maybe other people can't quite see it, but you know you're that person. There's that something inside you that you've got to give and that you love. So absolutely. If you believe in that, then I think that's really powerful. So I really like what you said, Andrea, and Shailesh. I love your
just on that note, Walters, I wanted to start off with, like, Walters is not just empowering, like Andrea, for the youth, for the kids, because he ran a show called Sticky TV. It's very, very,
I love it.
very, you love it, right?
So awesome.
Sticky TV is the name itself, like, it's very entertaining, very funny, but also it's but that show was ran for almost 8 years, I believe.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
And yeah, and it did absolutely, it was an encouraging for the youth to do some epic things, like you can't just like watch a show and just forget it or leave it there. You got to
Right.
watch that show, you got to engross in it, and then you get empowered by that show to do something. So I really want to ask Walters, because that show, so he has got like, he's got also other things that his interests are, like cooking, sports, travel, all sorts, comedy skits and everything. And he also interviews celebrity, and
Mhm.
so that's something that he's also got very good at. So I'm feeling a bit down that I'm trying to interview celebrities. So I'm sorry, Walters. I'm interviewing two celebrities at the moment, Andrea and Walters. So I
Right.
wanted to ask you, and he also co-hosted a primetime show, which was a Cadbury's Dream Factory. And he also
Yes.
owns his own company, and he's a writer, he's a presenter, that kind of thing. So I wanted to just ask you, Walters, like, as Andrea said, and how to create your own opportunities. You have done that show for almost 8 years, and then you have created your own opportunities. So what will be your message to the kids and the youth of today that
Yeah.
they
Well,
could fall into your category?
hey, I just want to say to everyone watching, great question, Shalish, that it's very familiar what it feels like to be at the start of anything. Like I know what it's like to be at the start. I remember I was just finishing high school actually, and my job was washing dishes in a restaurant and
Mm,
shoveling horse poo at a horse farm for a job. And I wanted to be a television presenter. And so you can imagine it's quite hard to go, well, how am I going to go from this to that? And one thing that really helped out was on one of my jobs when I was working on the farm, the man I was working for, Peter Boville, said to me, Walter, what do you really want to do? And I told him my dream of presenting TV, and he believed in me. And he said,
wow.
well, why don't you just do that? And I said, I don't know how to do that. And he said, well, what do you think you need to do? And I think that was a good question that he asked me. What do you think you need to do? And so I think it's definitely good to get advice from people. Absolutely. I'm getting a lot out of tonight. Even tonight, I'm getting great advice. But I think also you need to think for yourself as well. And you need to use your brain, and you need to go, right, I want to do, no matter what it is. Maybe you want to be a video editor. Maybe you want to be an actor. Maybe you want to be a singer. Maybe you want to be I'm trying to think of it, whatever it is that you want to be, an architect or a producer, director, whatever it is, a dancer, and you're thinking, how do I do it? Sit down and think, all right, what do I think I should do? And find out what the next step is, and just start taking action, okay? And you're going to create that momentum that we talked about earlier, like how Shalish is creating momentum, and Andrea creates momentum, and Andrea, claims who she is and who she wants to be, and you start getting some momentum. Doesn't have to be perfect steps, but you get moving, and I think that gets you going. So what happened was, after my boss told me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be a TV presenter. And he said, well, how are you going to do that? I thought, oh, well, what should I do? And then I thought, well, maybe I need to go study communications at university, because I just think that's like media related. So I signed up for that. And because I signed up for that, my friends knew what I was trying to do. And so they came to me, one of my friends, Declan, he looked in the newspaper, his mum found this article, and it was advertising we're looking for a TV presenter for this show. And because they knew it, and because I'd proclaimed it, they brought that opportunity to me. And so from there, I started to pick up a lot of momentum. So that really helped out. And yeah, so, but yeah,
no, go ahead.
I
You
was going to
you
say, look,
finish?
yeah. So even after, getting this great career in television, and it's all amazing and all sorts of things, even when you're in it, just like Andrea says, you've still got to keep up the networking and pushing forward, because it doesn't just keep landing in your lap. Yes, as you get momentum, opportunities do come, but you can't just magically expect everything to come to you. So you kind of got to keep going. So I've had to start kind of all over again, I guess, in a way, like starting my own company. It's been challenging. Like this year, I would have made thousands of phone calls. I've knocked on lots of doors. I've networked a lot. No, I'm serious too. Like some days I'll think, who do I need to call? And I'll make calls and I'll research different things. And I'll talk to different people about how to do things. And I've got some good momentum. Like today we filmed something for a big client and I got to present it and write it and script it, and it slowly starts to pick up. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So coming back to this current situation that we are in, what would be your tips for this not fearing? How do we avoid fear of rejection? Because during this time, it's a very challenging time. What will be your tips? What will be your main tricks of the trade from experts?
Well, okay. So I agree with Andrea in terms of proclaiming who you want to be. So what you need to do is control your mind. You need to, and I've had to do it a lot. Like when you become entrepreneurial, you have to, when you start getting silly thoughts or self-doubt and all that, you need to get strong and you need to get good at pushing that out. And you need to have some focus. So, I get distracted all the time by social media and stuff, but quite often what I do is I just push that away and I just have to no, I'm focusing on this. I got work to do towards my career. So I'd say stay focused. I'd say get some small wins on the board. That's going to build some confidence. So, say you want to be an actor. Okay, cool. Look out for whatever opportunities you can. Put it up on a Facebook page or whatever to let people know. But even make a YouTube video. Like there's lots of free things you can do to start getting some momentum so that you can start getting there. So write a script if that's the case. And just make a 1-minute video if you're too scared of doing something longer. Do some research on how to do monologues and then do one. And then I would say, think about what you can do with that. Who can you send that to that might find value in it? Think about who can you marry up your passion or skill or dream with that you can give value to? Who can you show that you're putting some effort in? And like, for example, if you want to be on a TV show, I want you to watch the credits at the end of the show. I want you to find out what production company makes it. And then I want you to look up that phone number and I want you to call them and just don't overthink the conversation. Just take action, call them up, say, hey, look, I want to work for the show. I'd love to be a presenter or whatever it is. And just get some work experience on set, get yourself in the environment, get yourself there so that you can be networking with the right people and so that opportunity can come up and you can take it. And I think do that. Call people, make phone calls.
Can I say something? Can we make Andrea do a funny America's Funniest video so we can start making a funny video to start with so that you can identify yourself quickly?
I'm just going to charger on my laptop. 1 minute.
Yes. So Andrea, what do you think would be during this time, which will be your tips for this, getting your dreams pursued or getting your dreams really coming true with this current scenario that we have got and everybody is really, really shaking and thinking, how do you empower this?
I would have to say what I like to tell my clients is a lot of people are focused on goals, which is great. It's so important to have a goal. The hardest part is coming up with the actionable steps to fulfill those goals. So what I mean by that is, like, for example, let's say you want to create a website, right? You can't just magically create a website. You got to come up with all of the things that will help support to create a website, right? So that's what you call actionable steps. So like maybe the first thing is you want to figure out a list of graphic designers, or maybe it's figuring out a list of different types of color schemes that you would like, so it takes actionable steps to fulfill a goal. So that's very important. The other thing is too, like, you definitely don't want to put too much emphasis, again, like when you're creating your opportunities, on yourself. So you got to remember, like, a lot of things that and opportunities that people get are because they're focused on what can enhance that person, place, or company, right? So like those things are really important to keep in mind. But that shouldn't stop you from like going out there and connecting, like what Walter said. I think that's a phenomenal tip. And I think that a lot of people can overuse that sometimes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just how you go about the approach of what Walter's talking about, which is fantastic. And another thing that I really wanted to say too, an emphasis to what Walter said, because what I love about his story is that point where somebody just believed in him. And it reminded me of what one of my mentors said, Tom Bergeron from America's Funniest Home Videos. He sat me down and he said, it only takes one person to believe in you. Just one. Right. That's it. And like Walter's story was an example of that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's such a beautiful thing that he found it at a point in his life where maybe things weren't so great, like, or maybe it didn't feel like this was the reality that you wanted to create, but just even having that out there experience or like that out there thought was what inspired you to become more than who you were in that moment. And that I think is so wonderful that like you shared that with everybody here today. So I just had to say that because that was great. I loved it, Walter. You're wonderful.
I think there's a lot of power in what you're saying, eh? I really love it.
I think with that note, I wanted to show some of the creatives, that Walter has created. He has sent us some clips to just view it, which will be awesome.
I've got a this is an older show reel from Sticky TV days, so it's about 50 minutes long. So
that's great.
Yeah.
But hey, so fun fact for you, Andrea. On the show, we played a lot of Disney shows. So, you know, Hannah Montana, Sweet Life on Deck, Blue Crush. We had like lots of Disney shows. And we had even some Disney people come to New Zealand and we'd talk to them on the show. So that was quite cool.
I used to work for Disney Channel. So like one of the shows that I worked on was Bizaardvark. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. Probably the kids that are watching right now would know what it is, but I like a lot of those Disney Channel artists are so down to earth and so sweet. So that's awesome that like you've met some of them as well. So we probably know a few of them together.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that's cool. So this is the show when he created. Yeah.
Oh, this is cool.
There you go.
Have fun.
So some of the moments of the show.
Oh.
Is it playing all right for you guys? It's pretty jittery for me.
Yeah,
it's a little jittery for me too.
It's jiggery to me too. It's jiggery, but yeah.
I can tell what it is though. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Skateboarder for life. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So this will resonate with you, Andrea, about the funniest videos, eh? Some of the America's funniest videos.
This is pretty dope. This is great. Yeah. This is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a blessing. I think it's also good. You have to be really grateful for all the connections that you make along the way, and accept that it's not just you that does everything, but a team that you have around you, and those and people that really believe in you and empower you and help you make these, because they're all a collaboration, really. So you got to give a lot of thanks and gratitude to everyone you do these things with as well.
I totally agree with that, Walter. It's so true. Yeah. I think a lot of people forget that graciousness and like that that willingness to just be like, wait, I didn't do this alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Definitely. And because one thing I learned anyway was if you start getting too prideful or something, you know, like, yeah, you can have a bit of a downfall. Like, you always need to keep that humbleness about you. And I think you see that with some big celebrities, but there's great ones like, say, The Rock, for example, and heaps of them, a lot of them, they're all amazing. But people that really keep that down-to-earth element about them is something that, resonates with everyone, and they know that you are down-to-earth, you're a real human, you're relatable, and I think people appreciate you doing that. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, because I love that you use the word relatability, because that's a super powerful word, and that's something that I love to say too. Like, I think it's very important, and I love that you emphasize that, because it's definitely needed. And I hope that all of you guys that are listening, like, really take heed of what Walter just said, because that is definitely something that is lacking in a lot of content that's going out there, and where the industry is going is more of a wholesome material type of area. So I think it's very important that you said that. So thanks for sharing that. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, cool. It just, thank you for even acknowledging that. I think, put yourself out there. Just keep good relationships with people. You want to have more friends than enemies, you know.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people, we all work together to help each other out. I mean, look what's happening right now. Like, we're connecting right now. We now know of each other. We know what each other's strengths are and how we can help. And, you know, if I hear of things I can help you with, I'm going to do it. So,
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And so I wanted to ask you one final couple of things before we close up. Like, what, Andrea, at the current situation that we are in, and in America, in New Zealand, or around the world, everywhere, creatives are there. And I wanted to really touch on your experience being in the industry for so many years, and same as Walter's. But from your point of view in America, how is that affected? How is that affected the creatives? And what really the creatives are going through currently?
It depends on the sector of the industry. It really depends, because I think a lot of people have mentally, just all throughout the world, not even just in
absolutely all throughout
industry,
the world.
but this is a time of self-reflection. This is that we are in the lesson of self-awareness and self-reflection, because a lot, and I don't know did I lose connection?
Yeah.
Hello? Oh no.
Yes. Yeah. You're frozen a bit. Are you there, Andrea?
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, am I back?
Now we can hear. We lost you for a little. You were frozen. You were frozen.
I'm over here talking to myself. I was like, wait. No, so what I was saying is that this is definitely a time of self-awareness and self-reflection. And I think everybody can feel that right now. And so no matter what industry you're in, you will find yourself really having to face yourself. And that is the biggest lesson that we all can take away in life. And that's and for me, it's God. Like, I absolutely believe that God wants us to face ourselves. And I think that, you know, that's the hardest thing to do sometimes, is to really just be in that awareness of, you know, things that we can better ourselves in. And that's what I hope that people are doing before going after, their dreams is bettering oneself. So that's where I believe a lot of people are at right now in the industry.
Wow. When you say like face ourselves, do you mean like those fears that we have,
Yes.
like what we want to do with our life, or is there, or maybe we're a bit lazy or something, like we need to face that and we need to go, right, I need to address this in myself to improve my character to be a better person? Or
Yes, like I feel like there's a lot of lack of self-love right now. So a great example of what I mean is that sometimes we fear things because we don't really truly love ourselves the way that we really should be loving ourselves, because that's where fear derives from, is lack of love.
Wow.
And so if you can realize that you have, you're more than capable of anything, and just know that God wants you to be loved all the time. He wants the best for you. And I think that's the most important lesson of life, is to be able to understand that part. And so that's what I mean by that, because without that, how can you be successful? You can't.
Wow.
Really, so it's important.
That's
So
really
do you-
cool.
Yeah. So,
Like
so
accepting yourself and just because when you think based on love, then kind of the fear kind of disappears a bit, right? Is that what you
It
kind of say?
does. It
Yeah.
does. It totally does. Because how can someone hurt you if you already have that love for yourself? They can't. It's the
Right.
one power that you hold.
yeah.
Wow.
Right? So it's
So-
very, very important.
Love
So,
yourself.
and-
Yep. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah.
No, that's it. So, Andrea, do you think then self-awareness, self-love, absolutely. What about working together in this time and all the time? It's quite empowering at the moment. The creatives are creatives all around the world. And when they get to connect, when they get to share their experiences, share their love, that's where you empower them, I believe. And that's probably why my attempt here is to collaborate with different creatives from different parts of the world. So,
I think that it's more than ever a huge necessity for the world to unite.
yeah.
This is part of the self-awareness and the self-reflection that God wants us to face, because like we are not unified. There's so much divide in so many different areas in the world right now. And so our mission as creatives is to remind people that we are in this together. And the only way we can come out of it 100% is by coming together and loving each other. And just being there for each other and supporting each other, because guess what? All of our dreams, we're all going to make it. It's just a matter of whether or not, you aren't comparing yourself to somebody else, because that's something that I've always just really believed, is that there's no such thing as competition. There's no such thing of, because
Absolutely.
ultimately by the end of the day, you're your own competition.
Yes, 100%.
So
I
I really don't believe that there is competition, because we're all going to make it at our own time.
Yes, 100%. Can't agree more than that. What do you say, Walters? What's your opinion?
I think that is a really cool point, and I believe that. And let me tell you something. I think people do believe that there is competition, but I love what you just said, Andrea, because I remember when I was hosting the show Sticky TV, there was I had a boss, and she would actually try and make the presenters compete with each other, and kind of she would have meetings, and because I became I guess you'd call the lead presenter of the show, and other hosts would get fired and things over the year. I saw them come and go, but I was always there, and they just couldn't lose me because I had so much passion for the show. I loved it so much, and so became such an asset to the show that
Mhm.
yeah, you couldn't get rid of me anymore. So, but this is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I shouldn't go too deep into that. What I
No.
really want to say
That was good.
was that
Yeah.
I never have had that mindset of competition like you, Andrea. So you
Mm.
say like there is no competition, and so anytime the producer would try and make us sort of compete on the show as presenters to try and be like the best or most liked or whatever, I never thought that. I never focused on the competition. You always focus on like your truth and you know what you think is right and what you're trying to achieve. And for me, that was always to inspire and educate and entertain and be a positive role model for the audience. It was all about giving. It's all about serving. It's all about what can you do to make their life better, make a better show for them. It was never about like, oh, how can I position myself to look better? Because the best way to position yourself is to give and to be the best you can for other people.
Yes.
So
beautifully
I think
said.
Yeah.
I think I went a bit too cocky before I got to my point, but I mean, yeah, you need to focus on like giving and serving and putting some love and passion behind the thing that your creative outlet, and just love that and just give it. And I think it's a gift because you don't create it for yourself necessarily, but you create it for everyone else. If you're an actor, that's so you can entertain other people. It's not so you can I mean, you enjoy doing it, but you're on a show for other people to watch. So it's your job to say, wow, I'm going to make sure these people in the audience, they enjoy the show, and I'm going to do my best to tell the best story for them. You know, I'm going to be really happy in the happy scenes, and I'm going to study my script, and I'm going to make sure that people enjoy it and they're entertained and they get the message from it. And if you come from that place, then I think you're going to do a great job.
I'm in total agreement with everything that you said, because it's all about, like you said, better. When you said better, that's exactly the secret. Bettering yourself all the time. Like, it's so true. I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, nice.
Cool.
That's cool.
No, that's great. So I also have got some of the listeners here who are listening, and if they want to ask any question, or one couple of questions only, then they can write it down on the chat here, and we can see how we can answer that question to Walters or to Andrea. Just a thing. Now, coming back to the dream big and making your dreams come true with tips and tricks, and which is your networking company, and Walters also has got now more social media marketing kind of. I wanted to really touch on creatives, how they can uncover their own talent. Like you have uncovered your talent apart from artist, apart from actor, apart from presenter, apart from all those things. You are now a marketer in itself, which is you are marketing your own brand, you know. And this is empowering for me to see and to also give to those creatives that they cannot lack in that marketing aspect if they are creative. So they can also have that aspect attached to it. So how do you really make those creative kids uncover that facts that you are not just a singer or a dancer or an actor, but you could also brand your own? If you're good at that, then you can also create. In today's world, as Andrea said, it's more than ever we need self-awareness. It's more than ever we need self-love. And you can uncover that. So what's your tips on that, Andrea, and Walters afterwards? Yeah, let's see.
I would have to say your driver's force. So what I mean by that is what drives you to do like the thing that you really ultimately want to do. So for example, for me, it's receiving messages like, thank you, Andrea, so much for helping me not commit suicide. Or, thank you, Andrea, so much for helping me create my own opportunity, or seeing what my value is in this world, right? So like little messages like that matter. That's just one little nugget of the importance of finding your passion. Because the minute that you realize that you're receiving those messages consistently, that means you're on the right track. So that's something to keep in mind. So like for a lot of people, like I've heard some of my clients say, gosh, I can't wait for somebody to say, thank you so much, Justine, for empowering me to be a better woman than I was yesterday, right? So like you just never know what type of impact you're going to leave on somebody's life. And for others, it may not be impacting others' lives. Maybe it's impacting an animal and their situation. So, I mean, everybody has their own driver's force. So that's what I ultimately would say to somebody that's trying to figure it out.
Yeah, like I wanted to know exactly, like, okay, how do they become bold or confident enough from their comfort zone of being just creative? They also have to market themselves, which means networking, which means they have to go and meet people and not be shy or not be ego having that, how do I go and meet or how do I do this? You know, like mixing and mingling, we call it the networking. And you have rightly organized your company as Network Smart, which is really quite appropriate and quite relevant to those creatives. Like Network Smart is awesome. And same as Screen Grab of photos. So you're creative in itself, you know. So I wanted to know, like, what would be your message to those people, creatives, who have really wants to come out of their comfort zone and go to the networking side of it so that they can do their own kind of branding?
I would have to say the best tip for something like that would be, like I had said before, like, don't make it about yourself. Really try not to. Like, do things in a way that's going to empower somebody's conversation with you. So like, something that's like really important, I feel that a lot of people forget to do is when they are talking to somebody, it can be really scary, like to approach. I remember what it was like, you know, approaching Constance Ramos. I wasn't just like, all right, I'm going right now. No, like there was definitely like some resistance, a little bit of resistance, but I remembered if I did not take that chance, I wouldn't be where I am today. So like I always ask myself that question. If I don't take this opportunity, what will I miss, or what will I lack the knowledge of learning? Because every single person comes into your life for a reason, right? So it's a matter of whether it's a lesson or it's a seasonal thing or it's a long-term thing, right? So there's a saying that I like to tell my students is you have 3 mentors in your life: mental, physical, and spiritual mentors. And so it doesn't matter how many you have in each category, so long as you have all 3. So that's very important if you want to have success in the things that you do.
Right. Okay. What would be you, Walters, your point of view in terms of how do they come out of their comfort shell? You came out of your comfort shell, but I think you have proved that you are not just an actor, but you are now a marketer as well. So you're in networking as well. So.
Well, yeah, I think, I mean, I don't consider myself an expert. Like I still think, you know, my company's reasonably humble, Screen Grab. We're humble beginnings. You know, we started about, actually almost a year ago now. And so, okay, so I think sometimes I'm probably a bit too gun-ho and very happy-go-lucky. I like to just go talk to anyone. I'll call anyone. I'll talk to anyone in a very friendly way, just to meet people. And I love what Andrea said about thinking about the cost of not doing the thing. So say you are in a room and there's someone who's in a position, or maybe they run a company that you want to work for, say, and you know, this is your opportunity to approach them. So I really like what you said, Andrea, and I back you. If you get that feeling inside your gut and you think, man, I've got to approach this person, you know, you can think a bit about what you're going to say, but if your overthinking is stopping you from even making a move, then I encourage you to just make a move, Just go say hello and start a conversation with a smile on your face. Say hello and think about, compliment them, make them feel good. So, you know,
Right.
acknowledge something great that they've done.
Acknowledge.
Start the conversation.
Yeah.
And you don't go in and say, hi, my name's Walter and I'm so great at this.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Right,
go
right.
to connect and you acknowledge them. And yeah, that's what I would say. But if you are a shy person, but you are a creative, then I encourage you to start challenging yourself, to put yourself out there a little bit, okay? So say, for example, any opportunity you can to build up that muscle inside you of that fearlessness of talking to people. Say you're in the supermarket. Talk to people in the queue. Say, if you see someone in the queue that's got something in their basket that you haven't tried before, say, oh, hello, hey, what's that music about? I've never tried those before. Just practice becoming a conversation starter with people so that it starts to become a natural thing for you. If you're on the bus, in a lot of public transport, I know you probably got restrictions in America, maybe. In New Zealand, it's not so bad. People often on their phone or they don't interact with the people around them. Start interacting with people. Say hello. And then you start to become fearless. Practice making phone calls. Like I said, it's humble beginnings for my business, and I've had to make a lot of phone calls this year. And just get used to being rejected as well. Just don't worry about it. You know, call someone, and if they say no, say you're an editor or something, and you call a marketing company and say, oh, hey, I'm an editor, and they say, oh, we don't need any editors. Say, that's absolutely fine. Thank you so much for your time. And hey, look, would love to help out in any way in the future if I can. Just remember, you're not going to just win straight away on everything. Sometimes you will.
Right.
But it's okay to get rejected. It's part of it. And that's absolutely fine.
What a lovely question. I have just popped in with absolutely what you both are talking. So one question, very important. She's Samantha. She's a great singer. She's a very good creative person. And what she's asking for either of you to say about incorporating and channeling your talent into your chosen career path decision and keeping it enjoyable. And the other part, what she's asked, what is enjoyable to me is working with people and service, as you have both said. I'd also like to know how you have both maintained the balance of service and success. And sorry, financial success, of course, service is always successful. So that's what she meant. So what would be your take on that? It's a good question, exactly relevant to what you both were talking about. So how do you incorporating and channeling your talent into your chosen career path decision and making it enjoyable?
Totally. Do you want me to jump in or do you have something, Andrea?
You go first and then I'll go. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So you like singing by the sounds of it, Andrea? I mean, sorry, Samantha.
Samantha, yeah.
I mean, sometimes.
Andrea.
She's a singer.
I'm not sure what your, financial success. I'm not sure what your current career is, Samantha, but it's great to hear that you're a singer. What I would say is, so it would be awesome if you can type in and say what your career is. That'd be amazing. That might help a little bit, so we can give you some ideas. But say, for example, I can relate it to other things, like I like presenting. And so, like for me, if I wanted to go, say, you can present to anything. You know, I could be a mortgage broker, a real estate agent. I could be any kind of business person. You got to present. And as a singer, if you can find a creative way to incorporate that into what you do, that's great. Say, for example, you have maybe you run a business. I'm looking to find out what you do, Samantha. But if you were a mortgage broker or something, then you could maybe put that in your marketing. You could do a song about it. Fun.
I'll just tell you, she's a singer. She's also looking for some more for marketing and branding of her own. And that's where her challenge is.
Oh, maybe you could collaborate with other singers. Like you could open for them.
Performing arts.
Wait, I want to give the best advice I can here. So what is it? So how can you incorporate it into your job? Is that what you're saying? what is it?
Mm, mm.
If you're in performing arts, then I think you're doing it, aren't you? Or wait, hang on, I'm trying to, maybe I've misunderstood something here. Like, how would you sum up the question exactly? So
It says, I'd also like to know how you both have maintained balance of service and financial success.
okay, well, okay, all right. Sometimes there's not been as much financial success. So I've done really well in terms of on television. And if we want to talk about finances, then what I did was I thought about it, and I thought, as a creative, okay, cool. It can be a little bit up and down depending on where you are in your career. And so I believe if you are, or for me anyway, there's the path that I took anyway, was I thought, oh wow, I'm so blessed to be in this role, so I'm going to save up. So I ended up saving pretty much everything I had, and I became an investor. So that kind of helped me out a bit as well. But if you are, so I would say develop a good habit of saving, so that when you are going through a dry season, you do have something to kind of back you up. So definitely be thoughtful in that area, because that is part of it. Absolutely. Finances is a very real part of life. And so it's good if you can make a financial plan for yourself to save, and then think about how you can use your skill to generate income's also good. So you go, all right, who can I help with this creative ability that I have? You know, you could start a singing business, you know, like coaching people and things like that. You can apply for all the singing opportunities that come up and make money through that. I hope this is making sense. So those are my first thoughts anyway, just looking into that question.
Sure. I guess let's see what Andrea has to say about it, and then I can summarize a bit little. Yeah.
Well, okay, so I'm just so tempted to do it all for free.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but all artists are. That's important to acknowledge. We all love to give things for free. That's just part of the artist life. For me, I really learned to respect myself and my time. I think that's really important as an artist, is to understand your worth and your value, because others will also respect that as well. As they start to know what you do, and as you build your credibility in the industry, you're definitely going to be able to put yourself and build a foundation. Remember, foundation is everything. So like if you focus on your foundation and you've built it so strong and so firm that nobody can shake that foundation or break that foundation, that's going to really help your efforts towards building a very secure financial opportunity for yourself. However, the other thing that I love to do, I love to give back a lot of my time, because I know that there's others out there that are struggling or don't have the financial means to learn. So every month I take on one student every month for free, and I mentor them and take them under my wing for that month. And so that's one way to really get people to understand what I do, how I do it, and how effective my program is. So it's kind of like, in a way, it's free marketing, but I also get to give my expertise to somebody in need. So that's definitely really important. If you're going into the singing industry, I actually used to manage an EDM duo called Mawe. They're now signed with Sony in Switzerland. So as I was kind of working on managing them, something that I really focused on was figuring out what the artist's theme was, because a lot of singers like to dabble themselves into different themes. So it's really important for you to understand what your theme is and why people want to follow that theme, or if there's even a market for that theme. So that's just very, very important to keep that in mind, especially as a singer, especially
Yeah,
as
and
a singer.
that was my one of the couple of last questions is like, how do you maintain this financial stability or financial performance or financial take-ins for creatives? Because creatives till now has been considered as a side job or as a hobby
Right.
or as a like just for your own passion, for your own recreation, that kind of stuff. But do you think, in your view, and you have worked with Disney and Hollywood, and you have been attached with Hollywood now for many years, just from that angle, just from that point of view, there are many creatives out there who wants to make it to the entertainment industry, but it's the, as you said rightly, the time that you want to give and the time that you are giving, and all the creatives come with giving time.
Yeah.
Is it now a chance for this opportunity, for this now that situation we are in, the whole world, is creatives to be considered as same paid as academics? That is my question.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I
For all
think,
the listeners who are listening, this is, even though this is questions of other than creatives, but it is still relevant to the creatives. It is still relevant to the people who are of all ages of creatives who are struggling, and who I would like to draw the attention to all the stakeholders and everyone who are listening to this program for this question of creatives paid equals academics paid.
I really believe so, yes, because the actors, let's be more specific, actors that are being more intentional with the things that they're teaching, because really you are a teacher. An artist is a teacher. And I think a lot of people forget that this is an actual job that really does shift somebody's perspective on how the world works. And
Yeah.
so it's very important. And I cannot stress this enough, but if your intention is not in the right space, your legacy isn't going to really fully develop the way that it should. And the reason why I say that is like people like Stan Lee, right? Like Stan Lee is a phenomenal person, or was a phenomenal person, but he left a legacy. And a lot of the times, a lot of artists want to go into Hollywood because they want to become famous. And instead of really looking at, wait, what is beyond fame? Why do I do the things that I do, right? So
Yeah.
I always ask this question a lot to people when they come to me and say, I want to work in Hollywood, I want to do this. I always ask them, would you rather be famous or would you rather have a legacy?
Right.
And the
Yes.
biggest lesson of that is that Stan Lee was so ahead of his time, so beyond ahead of his time, that he actually made movement and he inspired people to think outside the box and to think beyond what society deemed as correct. That's how he built his legacy, right? Is really inspiring and empowering those around him. And as that legacy started to build, his fame came secondary, and it helped support that legacy that he was starting to build, right? So you can build a legacy and not be famous, or you can have that legacy and have fame to help support and anchor that legacy. So that's very, very important that you know how to distinguish the two differences. So that's my answer to that question.
Right. Yeah, no, but it is vital and it is very important during this time. Like when you want to shift the way one of the key things which I read about you, Andrea, was like you always like working closely with the foundation to create the reach needed to help shift the mindset of our youth and broaden their horizons. So it is all, you are dedicated to that aspect. So when you are dedicated to that aspect, obviously the youth expects that, okay, what am I getting as a creative? Am I going to get paid or not paid, or how much, and these? And so it becomes a whole shift of mindset, changing the mindset of the youth and of the creatives, so that they know that they are in there and they are being protected or supported by financial stability as well. So yeah. Yeah, so I think we are almost going to be, so those were my questions, which you probably answered about the uncertain times that we are living in, and how are we pursuing, support for the community without stakeholders. So how do you get the creative? That's one of the last questions, was that like where to go for support, and who should we really approach, and is working together and going to be a new norm of the whole world, then what would be our working together? So you have also designed some courses, you have also done some work on the current that you're working already with the youth and creatives, that we will have another session one day to see what are your courses are aligned with us and how we can pan that out. But designing itself that courses for the youth and creatives itself is quite empowering to think about it, on those lines. But so where to go for support? The question was like, okay, what are the access to the support that they creatives have got, as we were struggling, every creative? How do they get an access easy, to those people who wants to give back, who wants to say that, okay, we have done enough, now let's give back, Where do they approach?
I think honestly, it really stems from understanding who you are before approaching somebody that can help. Because the thing is that there's so many different types of people that you could approach. The better question that you have to ask yourself is this person really in alignment with me? Right?
True.
So those things matter.
Right.
I think that we get so excited about opportunities that we forget that there's a process that goes in that. And there's the patience that you need to have with yourself. So some people are like, maybe they feel, scared that this person isn't responding to them. Because I know that's probably happened to you too, Walter, like, in your journey of like reaching out and being, honest, with the process. But sometimes you don't hear back from the person. And then you get this little voice in the back of your head that's like, you weren't good enough. You didn't deserve to hear from this person, or, all this kind of stuff. I want you to completely forget that's even truth. So what we believe internally becomes our truth. And so I think the most important thing is for us to recognize that and then utilize that strength that we've built to, like Walter brought up, like just be on top of it and don't be afraid to just ask. The worst thing that somebody can say is no. And that's okay. That's part of the process. But guess what? Like the things that we fear the most are usually the things that we should be going after. That's the secret. So like, if you fear it, go do it. So
that's a good one. That's really good. No, that is very good. So what do you think, Walter, is support wise, and in your view, that after this situation and before this situation was, and now and going forward, what would be the easy access for people, who are in the field of creative, who wants to make it, who are looking up at you as a celebrity or as a person who would like to be one day like Walters and one day like Andrea? Where do they go to pursue that dream quickly, immediately,
I think it's great if you can connect with other creatives that are making some moves. Like, for example, I have a really cool friend called Lulu, and he makes a great YouTube channel, and he's a really positive person. And I just, I think that what you should do is get around some positive people that are doing something along the lines of what you want to do. And so he inspires me all the time with how much excitement he has for his YouTube channel, and I always think, oh, cool, I'll jump in and help him with that. Say you're a singer, what would you do for support? I would say you would go to the, well, I don't know what it's like because of coronavirus, you know, maybe it's, you can't go to places or whatever, but if you can, then, you know, I'd join a singing group. I would, if you go to church, sing at church, and maybe you can be part of the worship team. If you're an actor, then I would say, oh yeah, see who's making YouTube channel in your community and see if you can join them on acting in some of their stuff. If you are wanting to present and you want to be a presenter, then start your own channel or start putting yourself out there. And look, I know everything is challenging at the start, and I understand the feeling of, oh, it's hard to make a move. But once you start getting some wins, you start getting some momentum, things will get better. It's like when you first started at school and you didn't know anybody. Maybe you were excited to be in a new place, but maybe you're a little bit nervous, you know, will they like me? Will they be nice to me? And you know, after a good couple of weeks, you know, you're in there, you're getting along, things are going well. So I think just push through those little moments. And you're going to become stronger, and you're going to develop that elephant skin that Andrea was talking about, that thick skin. And you're going to start to, when you see yourself winning, say, for example, you're a singer, or you want to be a singer. Maybe you're not a singer yet, but you know you want to be one. And then what happens is you go sing at, say, church or something, or in front of your family or some friends, and they give you a clap. You've just created a memory, an experience of yourself performing and doing well, and people enjoying what you've got. And that's just going to strengthen that belief in yourself. You see, say, for example, the start of this year, I was not a producer. Okay. And then I started telling myself I'm a producer. And then I started telling other people I'm a producer. And then I started producing things. And so today I've produced an epic video for a big company right here in Auckland. And I was just a guy that was saying, I'm a producer, and I hadn't really produced. I haven't really been a producer. Now I just go around doing it, and you start to become it. And so, I mean, even now I have lots of fears about things, and, you know, I'm having to push forward and, you know, make things happen. And you start to become a stronger person, and people can then look up to you, and you can start to accomplish things, and you go, wow, I'm actually making moves. Things are happening. This is amazing. And so you're just doing that. And as you win, you build momentum, and you think about, what are the lessons that I'm learning along the way? You know, what have I learned recently? Recently, I've been learning a lot about not procrastinating and just getting on with it, and just doing those things that I need to get done. And so I'm becoming a much more disciplined person. I can feel it happening. I'm learning to control my thoughts and my doubts, because I know that if I listen to those, I'm not going to get anywhere in life. So I'm getting good at pushing those away. And so you'll do this. You'll start to learn these lessons, and you'll become a better person. You'll just start developing and flourishing as you move forward. I hope that answered the question. But the moral of it,
no, it's good.
I would say support in yourself, but get around nice people that support you. Sounds like you can go to Andrea for support. You can message me for support. And get some wins on the board.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Walters. That's a brilliant answer you gave, and so as Andrea has been very much empowering today. So to all the listeners and to all the listeners over here, Samantha, great question, really. I hope we have covered, and as you rightly said, we both have covered very well, Andrea and Walters. So it is quite good to see that they have agreed and accepted some of your and most of your things that you are saying today. So it's really, really good to see that happening. But also, you know, I wanted to also ask all the viewers today, and if they have any questions, please do so. Write to us if you want to know more. And it's a good platform for us to communicate as the starting point. And as Andrea says, Network Smart. So maybe I should call my show called Network Smart. I can steal your name. No, it's really good, Andrea. It's fantastic to see how you have managed this thing. But the other aspect I wanted to just quickly, since you are here, and I want to borrow your some 2 minutes of yours of the United Nation, and it is really empowering to see. And you are an advocate for a lot of things, and so, and particularly creatives and youth. So United Nation, when they invited you as a keynote speaker on arts, what really your message was, what really we wanted to give that to the world?
I really wanted to talk about intentions. I know we briefly brushed over it, but a great example of that, just for everybody that's, you know, wanting to really understand what that concept means. For me, it was something that really helped me kind of see my intentions back in, this was about, gosh, 6-7 years. Okay. Like my career was just starting to blossom. I was getting a lot of eyeballs like on me
Yeah.
as I was doing a lot of interviewing as well with celebrities and executives. But as I kind of grew, I got myself on a platform. It was a live streaming platform, and I ended up getting like 20,000 followers on that platform in less than 3 months. And this was worldwide. So it was one of those things where I realized in that moment that where I was as a person 7 years ago, I was in a lot of pain. I was going through a lot of emotional, you know, things that had happened in my life. And I wasn't quite at a place to provide, how do I say, advice to people, because I personally wasn't even taking my own advice. And even though I did, and I inspired a lot of people, and I got those messages of like, thank you, Andrew, for, you know, helping me not commit suicide, or like, thank you, Andrew, for not, helping me with anxiety, you know, stuff like that. I realized at that very moment that 20,000 followers was a huge amount of impact that I was leaving on every single person that was watching me online. And because I didn't have the right intentions at that time, it was very selfish. I actually took myself off of live streaming and I stopped cold turkey because I realized that I wasn't in a place to really truly provide the value that was necessary to my audience.
Right.
And so I encourage a lot of, you know, actors or other creatives that are in the spotlight to really think about where you're at, because you get a lot of power in your hands when you have a lot of people watching you all over the world. And you are, as a creative, you have a responsibility to carry yourself well, because you are impacting that person's life, whether you like it or not. You absolutely are. And I think a lot of influencers, I'll put quotes around that because a lot of people call themselves influencers nowadays, but they aren't really truly influencing because they care about you. They care about themselves. And so it's very, very important that we take responsibility and really understand why and why and how our intentions are affecting those around us. So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah. So do you think with that speech and afterwards, like what you have uncovered, there should be more trial and error platforms for the creatives?
I don't necessarily believe in a trial and error type of platform. I think going in with the understanding of what and how you're going to portray yourself to the public is very important, because like for me, my whole brand is about helping and inspiring children, you know, so I have to think about my actions consistently. And a lot of people don't think about those actions all the time because they just want to be in the spotlight. And so for me, it's very important for me to make sure that I carry myself with dignity and grace and, class, because it's very important for the youth to have good role models. And I think that we have that responsibility, so. yeah, that's how I live my life. Not everybody's the
couldn't
same,
agree.
but that's how I live.
No, but you're right. Creating yourself a model for the children,
Mhm.
for the youth, for the creatives is absolutely spot on what you said.
Mhm.
And I guess what Walter would agree with that, and he can say something more adding to that. What do you think, Walter? Adding to that,
I think
you
you're
want to
right,
add
Andrea.
something?
And I think you do a great job of carrying yourself with dignity in class as well. So, and yeah, you're right. You know, I love it how your vision just goes into all parts of your life. You think, you know, how do I carry myself in public? You know, you'll base decisions on what your core mission is to empower youth and to see them achieve their dreams. And so
Yeah.
that reflects in all you do in your life. And I think that's such a good point. Yeah, and I feel that too.
Yeah, just to
Yeah.
summarize that, it's a good comment here on Daniel. He says, great discussions, many memorable tips, hugely reassuring too, in various ways, of course. And that's good, empowering for us to do this kind. And Samantha also says that we need more of these regular kind of events. You know, this it's really this kind of event is great for the health and well-being of our community. But also, she says here, definitely she would like to do this again, and absolutely useful and very informative and very inspiring. So that's good to know as well from some of the comments that we are getting. It's all good. Yeah. So Canon says, great advice, Walter. And so it's good. So everybody is talking good. That's good to know that at least it is beneficial. My point is here is now we are not here to change anyone, but we are here to definitely give that reassurance of what they are doing, reassurance and confirmation of what really they should pursue, and they should not give up. The bold message from Andrea, I take it here. And the last message, I would like to also, the concluding statements from Andrea and Walter's. What will be your concluding statement, Andrea, with this kind of decisions that we are taking here? This networking is one aspect, but more to was my 3 points more as we started. This is how to create your own opportunities, how to create your own brand, how to become your own, and you have answered everything. And ways of not fearing of rejection, and then also pursuing the dreams, and the tips that you have given is absolutely amazing. So just what final concluding statement from Andrea we would like to hear from her?
I would have to say, if you can walk away from anything that we talked about, both Walter and I talked about,
Yeah.
I would have to say, always be honest. I think that's the most important thing, and the biggest lesson in life is to always be honest, because your brand is your signature, and the things that you say and the things that you do matter. So always be honest. It's going to be mine.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
What will be your concluding statement, Walters? Let's say, what do you have to give and say to all those people who are listening?
Oh, wow. Oh, hang on. Let me just hang up. What would I say? Well, I'd like to say, first of all, thank you for tuning in. And I really think, you know, that there's been some really awesome points tonight. All of them have been great. So I hope that a lot of it's resonated with you. But what would I say to you? Well, I think if you're a creative, right? You've tuned into this. You're a creative. And so I want you to think about that thing that you like to do that's creative, or maybe there's multiple things you like to do. And if you have a dream for it, say you want to take it somewhere, I really encourage you to start just taking just some steps in the right direction to start to see it through. And think for yourself, what can I do with this? Who can I serve with this gift? Where can I go to express it and to use it? And start making moves and start getting momentum. Maybe you've already got some great momentum, so therefore keep doing it and keep dreaming and write it down. Let me just hang up on this person. I'm just on a phone call. I'll call you back. Thank you. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, start getting some momentum, building that wins on the board, because obviously it's the challenge, you know, to fight against that resilience. And I liked what you said earlier, Andrea, about, you know, sometimes we have to face ourselves and go through that. And there's been moments where I've had to face myself. I remember wanting to become a better presenter, so I thought, what could I do? And I thought, I'll do stand-up comedy. And so I found the local stand-up comedy club, and it turns out that we can perform there for free. And in fact, there's lots of celebrities that perform there, and they sort of MC the night. And so I would get to go up there as a complete rookie, do my set, you know, bomb, and get some laughs, you know, like all of it. And then, you know, these famous comedians could critique me afterwards. There's a free opportunity for me to do it. And yes, it was scary because I had to get up on stage and do comedy. But I'm so glad, you know, that I overcame my fear and had a crack at it. So practice overcoming your fear. Okay, identify the things that are stopping you from going to where you want to be. Maybe you're afraid of rejection. Maybe it's you're wasting time doing other things that aren't what you know you should be doing, like procrastinating on social media or whatever. Maybe it's you're afraid of approaching people and putting yourself out there. I want you to identify one of those things or like several of them, and I want you to just practice attacking them. Okay, so if you're afraid of approaching people, I want you to go and talk to a stranger in a safe environment. Sorry, I shouldn't say the word stranger. I mean, approach someone that you would like to talk to, but you're afraid of. And I want you to just practice doing this. And I want you to not feel bad if you get rejected, okay? Because that's part of the process, okay? Part of it. And it's fine if it happens. And I want you to not take it too seriously when something doesn't go your way. So when you get rejected, if something doesn't go your way, just don't overthink it, okay? Just make moves. So identify those things that hold you back, and then I want you to start going against the resistance, against the thing that's stopping you, so that you can go into flow, if that makes sense. That's my where I am at the moment with how I approach things.
Absolutely.
Because
I think you.
I mean,
Love it.
it's nice when everything's just in this beautiful flow, but sometimes I think it takes a little bit of a push just to kind of get in there sometimes. So if you can start thinking as an independent person, as an entrepreneur, on like teach yourself, learn to lead yourself a bit as well, and have guidance from others, but learn to lead yourself. I think it's a good thing to do, and trust yourself.
That's a good thing.
I think
that's a great advice, Walter. That's a great advice. And coming to that conclusion, I was just reading some of the other messages, and I just found Daniel saying that this kind of group discussions for creative arts sector, and this is Andrea, again, it's your field, Walter's your area, your field, should become a monthly thing, they are saying. That would be like a great, you know, they're saying. And they should also have like questions, answers, and then each discussion group, we could have different types of artists, different types of creative people coming into the show like this, and then empowering the creatives. So this is a great opportunity that this is my first attempt to do. And Andrea, you are my first official guest in terms of the creatives, which gives me a real honor and a pleasure to invite you on this show. But also equally well with Walters, who is our local hero, I would say. And so it's really good that the synchronization, the universe connection has come to a situation where I could bring you both, one from America, one from New Zealand. Just couldn't believe this happened. It's quite great. I just did a month ago, 2 months ago, I did a program on education from India and New Zealand from the universities, and it was quite empowering for education people as well. But I've got another, just to final, is Vikas, who is all our technical side of things, who is looking after this Zoom live. He has rightly summarized it, that what he has achieved, because he's a creative, he's a technician, he's a video editor, all of that, and young, just formed his company, and very young entrepreneur skills that was inspired. So he's saying that, of all the discussions that I can take from here is one word, and that is action. So he saw everything was action from Andrea, from Walters, and that's what he would take as great.
If I can add to that, then I'd say do your own think and then act, but don't overthink. And so sometimes you're probably going to you might make a mistake. And I know you try and trust your gut and listen to your intuition, all of that, but do make moves, and then you're going to figure out like what works and what doesn't. But you have to make moves. And I've stalled a lot, at times, and I should have made moves earlier. Like I could have started doing stand-up comedy earlier. I waited 6 months before trying it. But I encourage you to just just start taking action, not overthinking things too much, and make moves. And if they're wrong, then you're going to learn. And guess what? People forget things reasonably quickly. Don't do anything stupid, but for example, I've been on live TV and I've made dumb mistakes and said silly things, and I've been in an audience in front of 100,000 people, at Christmas events and things on live TV and all that, and I've done silly things here and there, and people, honestly, there's so much content and things out there. Don't let the fear of failure or mucking up stop you from making moves. So put thought behind what you do, but don't let that stop you too much. Just get out there, make some mistakes, it's okay. But keep that humility about you. Like if you do something that you muck up or whatever, just admit it and move on and keep going. People love that. You become relatable, Be relatable, be real. And
not overthinking, overthinking. Yeah, totally. Like, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I remember Tom Bergeron, when he sits down with me, he'll always tell me, he's like, yeah, when you're hosting, he's like, as a matter of fact, I've never watched myself on television. And I asked him, well, why have you never watched yourself on television? And he goes, because everything that I needed to say in that moment was exactly what was supposed to be said. And that really stuck with me. So exactly what you're saying, Walter, is just go out there, don't overthink things, just say what you need to say. And it may be a mistake, but that's okay. Just be honest and be graceful about that. And it really helps summarize all of that. So I also want to say thank you so much again, Shailesh, for inviting me to come to this event and for allowing me to meet Walter. You're phenomenal. And I love what you're doing for, everybody in your city and your country. It's just so wonderful to see other amazing creatives that are just making so many different moves and really encouraging others to do the same. And for everybody that's watching, thank you so much for spending time just listening to our piece of advice. And I hope that you guys aren't afraid to come to Walter and I, to ask questions. We're here to help you and guide you. And I think that it's important to really just take note of the things that really matter in life, and just be appreciative of the things that you have currently right now, because I think we're so focused as a society sometimes on what we don't have. So I want to encourage you guys to think about what you do have and be grateful for that as well. So
wow, it does take effort to shift your mindset, by the way, everyone that's watching, and it's every day is a new challenge. And so just remember, that's normal. Having doubts and things is normal to have that kind of challenge. So, but you're stronger.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So this is really awesome that you both came to my show, and absolutely delighted to, and we would love to have you once again if you're available in the near future. But we will be doing, now that we also got a motivation from this, and I think the final thing I wanted to just touch and finish it off is like, because we are a charitable trust, Aotearoa Academy is a charitable trust, and we like to empower all the time for all the fields, all the departments. It's not just creatives, but creatives is something that is also very much close to me, because just because I would like to uncover myself. Like, I used to draw and paint, and then it became like a distant dream. After that, became a numbers man, like a numbers, all finance and business and accounts. So, but then that's the heart in the core is always there to help and to give and to all the creatives people. So I am looking forward really to collaborate in whatever way means that we could bring people, bring creatives some benefit to, through the academy, through the charitable trust, and also through the business model that I'm sure Andrea has got some fantastic, phenomenal courses that she has designed and she could design for the creatives. So looking forward really to that. Yeah, so finally, once again, thank you so much, Andrea, for absolutely coming on this show and making this show a great success. I can see all the comments that are all lovely and loving it to you. And same as Walters for coming at a very short notice, with no notice, I would say. And thank you once again for the videos that you did at the last minute as well. Had that come through early, we probably would have captured a lot of people, but it doesn't matter. It is still will be available for all the viewers and the listeners to view as a recording in our YouTube channel, in our other social media. And I would encourage Andrea, you and Walters as well to put it on your social media. So it will be a great and inspiring kind of for many, many creatives to empower themselves. Once again, thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you so much, Walters. We'll catch up once again. And as I always, this is my media also wants to thank you, because this is all a step towards positive, a step towards positive feedback, a step towards positive awareness. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
you. Thanks,
Bye,
Andrea.
everybody.
Thanks, Andrea.
That was lovely. Thank you, Shailesh. That was